Hey everybody, welcome back to What's for Dinner. I hope you're all doing awesome. I'm Mark, I'm a certified health coach, and this is Teresa. She's the star of the show. She is a board certified family nurse practitioner. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you're an old school subscriber or follower, then welcome back.
Yes.
And so tonight, the theme is going to be the hormone that could be sabotaging your fat loss.
Dun, 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 dun.
I wonder what that could be. So we will get to that in a moment, but before we do, we want to show you guys what we're having for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
And the first thing I'm actually going to show you is going to be what Teresa's showcasing for What's for Dinner. She's doing something, and we're going to put a recipe for it together and whatnot. But this is her cabbage. And what do you have in here, hon?
So I took a whole bunch of bacon and cut it into small little pieces, and then put that in there with a bunch of bacon grease, heaping. I just don't measure, but just to keep it kind of juicy. Yeah. And then I cut up an onion and let that kind of fry with some fresh garlic. And then over time, I kept adding butter and more garlic or bacon grease, and then eventually cut up the cabbage.
Yeah, and it's, my gosh, guys, I'm not a huge fan of veg to begin with. And I definitely am not a huge fan of cabbage. But the way that Teresa makes this, it's so buttery. And the bacon and the fresh garlic and all that in it makes it absolutely amazing. And then what we'll do is we'll put some what's it called? Balsamic vinegar?
It's malt vinegar.
Malt vinegar. We'll put malt vinegar on this as well. So super yummy, low carb friendly, and can't wait to have that. And by the way, we'll drop the recipe for this into the description on YouTube and then the comments on Facebook later on. All right. And then Teresa has her cheesy buttery eggs going over here, scrambled. Yep. And then we also had some leftover rosettes dough that she had made and left in the refrigerator. So she made some rosettes bagels. And so did you want to talk about those at all really quick?
Well, I mean, last night after we got done with our live, I put eggs on mine, and it was absolutely delicious because I used to love egg sandwiches, but I haven't had one in years. So this was good. We always cook her dough mix to be doughy. This is the first time last night that we cooked it to be crunchy.
Yeah, it was more on the crispy side, and it was delicious. I actually used a half of one for like a bun on my burger. And then just piled everything on top of the burger, the lettuce and the tomato and onion. Yeah.
So all I did was I melt a half a stick of butter, and I put a whole bunch of her everything bagel seasoning, and then I just spooned it across and then cooked it.
Yeah, absolutely good. And then over here we've got burgers. So we did cheeseburgers tonight. So American cheese and baby Swiss, left a couple of them without. And so these are around, I want to say 70-30. That's a 70% protein, 30% fat. But a funny story is today when we were actually at the butcher where we bought the ground beef, we asked them to make this for us all the time because they don't have it just sitting there every week. So they know us. But he came out and he was like, man, he's like, I think I made it a little bit heavier on the fat side. Is that okay? And I was like, brother, you are not going to put enough fat in these burgers for us. You're not going to scare us. So these might be somewhere between 60-40, 70-30, somewhere in there.
And then he came and he's like, I can do about 10 pounds for you unless that's too much.
Yeah, we were like, you can't make enough for us. We'll just freeze whatever we don't eat, and then we'll have it left over. Okay. So, and then we have our fixings too. So, we've got the lettuce and the tomato and a little bit of onion and pickle.
Which makes us not carnivore. So this is not carnivore. So.
Yeah, that's okay though.
Yep.
We'll still live. We'll live to fight another day. All right. So today I mentioned the theme was going to be the hormone that could be sabotaging your fat loss. Many of you might know what we're going to be mentioning, what that hormone is. But anyway, that hormone is cortisol. Okay. Cortisol. So it's something that a lot of people don't even know they have an issue with. So cortisol, when we were talking about it, referencing it, there's two things that really cause your cortisol levels to elevate. One of them is lack of sleep, and the other one is elevated stress levels. Okay. And I don't know if there's anybody watching right now who has ever suffered from elevated stress levels, but some of us have it, and we suffer from it, I would say, chronically. In other words, there's always something going on in the marriage, or there's something going on with the kids or the job or finances or medical stuff. I mean, all of that affects us. And sometimes, it doesn't hit us all at one time. It's spread out. So conveniently, we're always stressed out. But so what does cortisol do, and how does it, affect our fat loss? So number one, it increases your appetite. So it makes you hungrier and it makes you eat more. But it doesn't just make you eat just any food. It actually makes you want to have cravings for high energy foods. So remember, high energy foods are the ones that make us fat. So fat and sugar, especially sugar and carbohydrates will do that. It promotes fat storage. It slows down our metabolism. I kind of already mentioned it increases your cravings.
Yeah.
And it turns your body, because you're eating the sugar or the carbs, the higher energy foods. it's also going to cause your body to prioritize fat storage. Just because when you're eating sugar and carbs, your body makes more insulin. Okay. So your body is just going to try and store as much fat as it can during those long periods of prolonged stress. So here's kind of the way it works. Okay. You got increased cortisol leads to increased blood sugar. Increased blood sugar leads to increased insulin. Increased insulin leads to increased fat storage, especially belly fat or visceral fat. So remember, visceral fat is the fat that's around your organs on the inside, okay? And so a good sign of visceral fat, or a good way to measure, and this is just a generic measure, is to do a waist to height ratio. So as a general rule, in inches, your waist should be about half of what your height is, okay? It's not exact science, but it's just to give you a general idea of your metabolic health. The other one is the toes to the wall. So if you walk up to a wall and your belly hits your toe or hits the wall before your toes do, then it means one of two things. Number one, you're pregnant. Or number two, you've got too much belly fat. Okay. So anyway, and that basically when you have visceral fat or belly fat, it's high. Whenever it's elevated or it's high, it's pretty much a proxy for every single metabolic health disorder you can think of. So when I say that, I'm talking about cancer, I'm talking about PCOS, I'm talking about diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
All right. So that's enough of me talking. Teresa, take it away.
Well, and you can also get like a body composition. It'll tell you your visceral fat. Our body comp only goes up to 20. And we see many times someone reads at 20. So you don't know if it's 21 or, you know, 31. So, but visceral fat is highly inflammatory. So it makes your cytokines go up and all your inflammatory markers. And it is responsible for 7 out of 10 of the diseases that increased mortality for females. So the top 10 reasons for mortality in women, 7 of them are because of visceral fat. And I see all the time women come in and they say, I can't lose weight and I'm gaining and I haven't changed anything. And that's because now you have cortisol involved with low hormones, bad sleep, stress, and all this other stuff. So in the hormones part 1 or 2 that I talked to you guys about, I think it was 2, I told you that I had been on hormones for like 9 years, and then my estrogen went south completely to 0. And one of the things that happened was belly fat. I suddenly got belly fat and I hadn't changed anything. So that's the power of one hormone, because I was on a great program until estrogen fell out.
Yeah. That's crazy how profound that difference is. I wanted to offer something else too. So obviously, you know, this is really important for people because a lot of times you all hit a wall with weight loss, it stalls, or you just can't lose weight at all. And when I say lose weight, I really mean lose fat. Yeah. That's what our goal is. But you have no idea, and you're beating your head against the wall. Why can I not lose fat? And this is probably the answer. So here's another problem we have too, is when you have these elevated levels of stress, what do a lot of people, not just women, but people in general do say when they get home from work? They're not running their kids to the baseball games and whatnot and doing all that. They'll be like, oh, I'm just going to unwind with some wine. Okay. Well, remember earlier I mentioned sleep being a problem. So for a lot of people, especially if you drink enough wine, it does knock you out, but you don't get the restful sleep that you actually need to keep your cortisol levels down. Okay. So you will wake up throughout the night. It's not a good restful night of sleep. Here's the other thing too. When you have alcohol on board, you can't burn fat. Your body has a hierarchy of the different macronutrients. And I'm not advocating for alcohol being a macro. Okay, let me back up. For some people, alcohol is a macronutrient, unfortunately. But when you have alcohol, you have carbohydrates, you have fat, and you have protein. In that order, your body prioritizes clearing that out of your system before it can move on to the next. So in other words, if you have alcohol in your system, your body has to metabolize and get rid of that alcohol, has to clear it before it can move to burning carbs. If your body has carbs, it has to burn those carbs with the sugar in your bloodstream and get rid of that before it can move on to fat. Then if you have fat, once that's utilized, then you don't want this to happen, but you'll move on to protein and your body will begin basically eating itself. It'll utilize the muscle tissue and the other tissues for protein. So that's essentially starvation is what that is.
We do drink on occasion. And by occasion, probably definitely the low carb conferences, I would say 4 to 5 times a year, we'll have a little bit of alcohol, but there is no amount of alcohol that is not poison to your body. Your body sees it as poison and has to get rid of it. So that's why it actively works on burning through that first. Yeah.
It has to clear it out of there. It recognizes it as a poison. And then this is another good point because we bring up the liver.
Yep.
The only organ in your body that can clear alcohol is your liver. So when you hear about fatty liver disease, that can be brought on by alcohol, too much alcohol. So we got to be careful, but don't kid yourself with thinking, oh, just a little bit of alcohol here and there is not going to hurt you. It's all these little things that add up.
Yep.
For sure.
You forgot to say this isn't medical advice.
No, definitely not medical advice. If you guys have any questions in medical in nature, make sure you reach out to your highly trained and knowledgeable healthcare provider. Yeah.
So right before we started our live, my girlfriend texted me, who is also my patient, and she said she went to a new OBGYN because hers finally retired. He had been in Clearwater forever. And the OBGYN said, I would never prescribe hormones to a patient, a woman. And if I did, I would do a yearly mammogram. And I'm thinking, and then my
patients. Oh, what a
my
shame.
girlfriend said, well, good thing you don't, because you don't really know about hormones. But I'm like, she's damaging females by not allowing them to have health regenerating medicine. But she's your expert. She's an OBGYN. Yeah. She's your expert. That's who he's telling you to go ask.
Yeah.
That's why it makes my hair stand up.
Just a disclaimer, guys. Just a disclaimer. So anyway. All right. What else?
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's all. But you guys underestimate stress and sleep and lack of hormones, obviously. And then the other thing, which is not my demographic, but when people are overtraining with cardio. So if you're training for a marathon,
good point.
If you're doing cardio every single day, that is excessive, can produce excessive amounts of cortisol as well.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. You can overtrain.
Yep.
And I'm like, I can't sleep. I can't do this. I can't do that. And I can't. Anyway, yeah, 100%. So, all right. Well, we're going to wrap it up with that, guys. So if you haven't already done so, please consider liking us on Facebook or following us. Or subscribing to us on YouTube. And as always, if you guys want to help us out, you can just drop a comment in the comment section and let us know what you guys are having for dinner. And remember, guys, food matters. So we love you all.
Yes.
God bless. Hope to see you at church tonight.
Yes.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.